Okay. Welcome, I'm Tim Scoggins. I'm calling to order this meeting of the Shaftsbury Select Board on Monday, July 20th, 2015. First up, does anyone on the board have a conflict of interest with anything appearing on the agenda this evening?
Nope.
No?
None.
No. Approval of minutes. We have minutes for our last meeting on 6/15. 7/6, I'm sorry, 7/6/15. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes that were circulated? I move we approve, let me do this in the right order. I move we approve the minutes for 7/6/15 as circulated.
Second.
Seconded by Art. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Abstain. Sustain. Because I wasn't here.
And you weren't here either?
Right. Tim was
All right, then we have to wait on those.
Right.
Sorry about that.
No, but I just
Okay,
thought
so the
that.
vote on that is
I'm gonna wait. I can't.
202, so we cannot approve those at this time. Warrants. I have here payroll warrant, check warrant number 2 in the amount of $121,834.40. I move we approve.
Second.
Seconded by Tony. The major items on this one are $10,000 to Cartographic Technologies.
This is the final payment on the 3-year contract for the mapping programs and the assessors program.
Okay, thank you. $28,000 to Haskins Fuels. This would be the pre-buy of
The road diesel.
road diesel that we approved last week. And another $1,700 for propane. Is that the pre-buy too?
That's the pre-buy also.
We use a lot more road diesel than we do propane apparently.
Yeah. Quite a bit more.
Okay. From Robert Green, which is, we're currently getting fuel oil.
Yeah, this is the heating fuel oil. It's broken into 4 different buildings here because there's 2 firehouses, town hall, and the garage, so the different building
Okay,
categories.
and this is the pre-buy as well?
That's the pre-buy also.
Okay, so we've got 3,000, 3,700, 2,300, and 5,000 there. We have 37,000 to Standiford Leasing.
Yeah, that's Santander.
Santander,
They're the finance company for the
truck?
214 truck.
a new truck, yeah, that we're close to actually taking
Very
possession
close,
of.
actually. We'll get into that a little bit later, but we're very close to actually giving the company the money now and letting it go.
All right, and then we've got a $1,400 to William Barney Construction for the stuff downstairs, I presume?
Yeah, it's just gravel and things, yeah. No, William Barney supplies stone and stuff for the...
Oh, Barney is the stone company, okay. And then 2,200 and 1,300 to Daly's. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The check warrant number 2 is approved 400. All right, payroll warrant number 1 in the amount of $17,160.42. I move we approve.
Second.
Seconded by Tony. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Payroll warrant number 1 is approved 400. Retirement warrant number 2 in the amount of $130.24. I move we approve.
Second.
Seconded by Tony. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Retirement warrant number, okay, I'm sorry, this is retirement warrant number 3 is approved 400. Yeah, this is called check warrant number 3 at the top, and then it's labeled PR2 here, so it kind of threw me. And this is payroll warrant number 2, which I think the other one I called 2 also. We'll straighten
Yep.
that out. This is in the amount of $16,944.21. I move we approve.
Second.
Seconded by Tony. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Payroll warrant number 2 in the amount of $16,944.21 is approved 400. All right, I believe that takes care of the warrants. Are there any announcements? Do you have anything we need to announce?
No,
I don't think so. All right. Any public comments? I see no public here, so I guess not. That takes us straight to our treasurer's report with Melanie Dexter. Welcome.
So closed out the year, just about where we expected we'd be. We still have some expenses that are going to hit last year, and probably some drips and drabs of revenue too, maybe a little delinquent taxes, but mostly we know that we finished slightly ahead of where we expected, which is what I've been saying for the last several months. That has not changed.
Is that number still around?
You know, I don't even want to be pinned down
Okay.
because there's some payroll stuff needs to be assigned to last year, and Joan hasn't gotten me those numbers yet. So there's still some stuff, but it's definitely ahead of the. I think we're going to just about break even rather than dipping into the fund balance. So we're going to be significantly ahead
The
of
last word was that we had probably used maybe 70,000 of the 120,000
I
fund
think
balance.
it's going to be better than that. We got some revenue from various sources right towards the end, so I think it'll be better than that.
Okay.
So we're not going to dip into it as much as 70,000. I'm pretty confident saying that. But we have the bathroom is going to probably hit the last fiscal year, and we haven't invoiced that yet. So there's some other expenses.
I'm just idly curious because for at least 3 years, I believe 3 years in a row now, we've tried to burn that 120,000 and it failed at us.
Yeah, sorry.
So we may give up.
I feel good about the next year. Although, I mean, we've talked about actually that it might be better to have a little bit of a bigger buffer than, I mean, we talked about that here.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah. The rule of thumb that a lot of people throw around is 10 to 15% of the total budget, which
Yeah.
would be a minimum fund balance of around 300,000 in
Right.
that case. Yeah.
Yep. So we've started in on this year, and as Dave has mentioned a couple of times, we are kind of front-loading some expenses for very good reasons, but we are going to run out of money, which is an expected thing, happens every year. So I've already done the second draw on the line of credit, and we're going to be in really good shape for the next month, even if we have another couple of huge warrants that like we just had. So that's fine. I'm keeping an eye on it day to day, but we're in very good shape. I am going to be out of the office next week. Everybody should know that. The whole week I'm doing the college visit tour. So
This is a concert.
no, we're
Travel?
driving Sebastian around to look at colleges.
Oh, okay.
Good luck.
Yeah, I know. I've been through it before. It's
Yeah.
stressful. So, do you have any questions about anything?
No, I think,
Okay, I didn't do a report for you because it's just too early.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything yet. Okay.
Good.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mel.
Melanie.
Thank you. Have fun.
All right, we're moving along too quickly for Steve to have gotten here.
Yeah, we normally run a little bit longer than this.
Yeah, we're running fast and we've got a short agenda, so.
Well, we could open the East Road bids to start off with.
Okay, we can skip down to FY16 road projects. We have 2 bids in on,
Should he be there for that?
Well, we can't take any action on these bids. This is
Okay.
just the closing date was Friday, so we can open them, and then I'll scan them and send them.
Okay.
We haven't got the final funding note from the state,
All right.
so it's just more information at this point anyway.
Okay, that's fine.
we're just going through the formal motion of opening the bids at this point, so.
First one is from Peckham.
Okay, from Peckham for a reclamation of 2,310 feet by 22 feet. Base course of 2.5 inches, top course of 1.5 inches. The total price is $97,401.45. Bodwin, from Bodwin, for the same specs, the total is $91,684. So $97,400 versus $91,700, essentially. Okay.
Yeah, the only thing that, for a way to vote on this today, it's probably better to wait for the next meeting and vote on it. So I'll send the copies of these to you, and then you can vote on it at the next meeting.
Yeah, it's always good to
Yeah.
go through them in detail and make sure that they both realize that they're bidding on the same thing. Okay, well, next up, road projects. We want to, for discussion of road projects, we definitely want Steve here. Next up is signing fuel contracts, and we approved the fuel contracts last week. We have a signing of them.
Yeah, because the checks that were approved in the warrant go along with each of these, and the contract starts as we sign each of these. The pre-buy.
Yeah, they're just asking for one signature, a customer signature, so without objection, I'll sign these.
No, go ahead.
All right, I've got a lot of pages here from Robert Green.
Yeah, each one represents a separate location, because it's their fuel tanks.
Oh, okay.
Each building, has to
All
be
right, and it's the
separate.
first one on the pre-buy that we're agreeing to, correct?
Yeah, each one of those is pre-buy per building.
Yeah, okay. I got it. All right.
And I'll mail these with the checks and get that going.
All right, and you said the financial audit contract, we did not get the paperwork?
Yeah, I spoke with Sullivan Powers last week. They were going to try and get it together. It didn't arrive in time for the meeting, so
Okay.
I'm sure it'll be here for the next meeting to be approved.
All right. Gosh, we're almost done. We're down to administrator's report.
Well, I'll try and drag this out for a little bit.
Yeah, take your time.
We have a leftover from the last meeting. I wasn't here at the last meeting. It's the annual maintenance proposal for the CAI cartographic. I'm not sure. This is continuing maintenance of the program we've been in for 3 years. I don't know what the objection, or if there was an objection or this got missed, but it needs to be signed by the board so we can continue with the maintenance of the program.
Did Mitch have some concerns?
Mitch has some concerns about the data checking on that.
But that really doesn't preclude us from.
Any data on this program really needs to be addressed, and I know Mitch does have some concerns. The best way to deal with that is for Mitch or two of you
Yeah.
to meet with the listers.
But that shouldn't hold us up when signing.
No,
that.
because we're at the end of a 3-year contract, and this is maintenance that we sign every year. It's like
Yeah.
$1,600.
Okay.
Right.
It's like the $10,000. It's our last payment.
Yeah.
You know, it's an obligation. So.
Yeah, and we're not going to get his concerns addressed without maintenance, so.
Sure.
All right. I move that we continue the maintenance contract with Cartographic Associates for another year at $1,600 a year. Is that the right set of numbers? Yeah.
Second.
Seconded by Art. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. The maintenance contract with Cartographic Associates is approved for another year by a vote of 4-0-0. And if you don't mind interrupting your town administrator's report, Steve is here, so we'll, Steve, come on up.
How you doing, Steve?
And you can fill us in on what's going on with the roads.
And we're working on Potter Road.
Probably need to lean in and talk loud because of all the fan noise here.
We started working on Potter Road. We pulled the edges of it in and got rid of the trash that was on it, sticks, leaves, stuff like that. So we can start hauling some material into there. We've brought up a bunch of quarry gravel from the quarry in Hoosick. We spread that on East Road, and it's been compacted and chlorided, so hopefully it'll get the water off of that and on those 3 worst hills. Thursday this week we're going back up to Potter Road. We need to bring in material to try to give it some shape, get the water
I
off
think
it.
there's another.
Tomorrow we have some trees taken out on East Road for the paving project. That's gonna, well actually tomorrow and Wednesday, but so that's will take care of this week pretty well. Next week try to get back into grading.
You got 3 pages?
Two
Signatures, yes. The rains last night, did they do a lot of damage?
Not terrible, not as bad as I expected it would be. Actually, they're not terrible anywhere really, but we got a
Yeah,
few-
it came
few
down
issues
pretty
here and
hard
there.
for a few minutes there.
Yeah, half an hour, 40 minutes or so.
Okay.
We've heard from a number of people about with all the rains in June, so the roads do need to be graded, and we're going to get back on that next week. And it'll probably be pretty much straight 2 to 3 weeks of
Get around
grading
again.
and getting back to that.
Yeah, I've noticed the potholes are beginning to come in a little
Yeah,
bit.
the amount of rain just prohibited the crew from really going out without turning the roads just to mush by grading. And as it's dried up, we've had a few projects underway, and like tomorrow and the next day is the tree cutting for East Road, and that our contractor's available, so we kind of have to stay to the schedule with that. But after this week, the graders will be out, and we'll catch up with everything along that. And the hills, as Steve said, on East Road, the 3 hills there that were causing a lot of runoff issues, and we're getting rutted. We hauled up quarries gravel and put that in during the week, and it's come out quite nice. So
rented a roller to compact it with.
Good. Yep.
We'll move on to the big projects for the year.
Okay. Yeah, if there are no questions for Steve about current conditions on the road, the next item on the agenda, which includes Steve, is our FY16 plans for major road projects. And do we have a document, that list? Oh, we do. We have the Excel file. Let me bring that up.
One interesting thing that we should talk about for a minute was doing the projects on East Road. We started trucking our own shoulder stone from the quarry in Hoosick. We're just seeing how much we could save. If we pick up the shoulder stone in Hoosick, it's $9 a ton. If we pick it up next door here, it's $14 a ton. So it took 28 hours to haul the material we needed up here, but it still saved us roughly $366 a ton, which over the 600 tons is $2,200 by hauling it ourselves. Steve and I were talking today, we kind of have to weigh off the amount of time, but when we get our second tandem,
That's right.
it'll move it quicker.
Yep.
And we're stockpiling it here for planned jobs, and then we can just load here on the days of the jobs, and it works quicker. The cost loading here on the day of the job is the same as going next door and picking it up.
Yep.
We add a day to the project, but in the long run, it's still saving, at these current prices, close to $2,200 for 600 ton. That includes the hourly wage of the drivers, whichever two it is, and the fuel consumed. So it's still saving a lot of money doing it that way. I look into, Steve, like we talked about, into renting tandems and drivers having somebody else do it. We would be down to saving like $750. So we're going to try a couple more ourselves and make sure the balance comes out right. So, you know, because obviously we hire them to be doing work, not driving trucks, but at $2,200 a project, that's getting to be big savings.
Good idea. Yeah, the other tandem will help a lot.
Yeah, twice the load makes it much quicker. And we may have that someday. So
Yep. All right. You want to tell us, Steve, what these projects are and what your idea about the priority on them is? The East Road reclaiming, we've talked a good bit about that. That's we've got grant money to make that happen, and that will happen.
well, we hope
later
to
on
have
this-
that done, by the end of September at the latest. We're still waiting for the last bit of information from the state to get us the money. Then there's a minimal amount. I think we need a grader and an operator to assist with that, which is standard. The other thing that the state will pay for is flaggers. I'm more inclined to hire sheriffs to do that than to have two more of our guys out there doing what they're not supposed to be doing. So I think it's a cost we'll absorb. That way we could have people working with the paving crew for the day with the grader, but we still have 4 guys out, at a nominal cost.
Well, yeah, the sheriffs are,
It's a few $100s.
yeah.
Yeah.
He says he gets paid a big, huge grant from the county pays him a huge amount, and so he passes it on.
Yeah.
That's why his rates are so low.
Yeah, when we hired them for White Creek, it was well worth the money.
Yep.
I mean, the safety issue is it's much higher, the level of safety you get when they're there. So
Yep.
I think it's a wise move. Plus, we get people out doing what they're supposed to be doing. We get
That's
the
right.
road graded.
All right. Shaftsbury Hollow engineering work. This is to get an engineer to look at that culvert and help us decide how to keep from spending $500,000 on a culvert.
Yeah, and we're getting some interesting conversation with them. I did go up with an engineer and Steve last Friday, an engineering company, whose name I forget, but they came down from up north. They're a big regional engineering firm. They toured the whole thing. He had lots of good ideas, and we were able to explain to him what we don't want to do, which is spend $500,000 building this, and they'll be able to work with us on that. An important part of this, with the state grant, structures grant, we have a grant of $30,000. We're only responsible for $3,000 of that. The rest will be paid by the state. So it'll answer the basic questions that I had, I think we all had when we started, was, okay, well, what's the lifespan of this we're talking about, first off? How many more years can we get out of this? And please come up with an alternative to this massive bridge that the state has set. And I think there's wiggle room there with the state as long as we can meet some of the A&R requirements. But we need professionals to come help us fight the other professionals. So.
Right, right. So we're anticipating spending $30,000 on engineering fees?
On the engineering fees for this. The town's expense, like I said, will only be $3,000, which is already in the culvert reserve anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, somebody like me stands out there and looks at that culvert and thinks you could probably fix it for $30,000, but
Yeah.
$30,000 is just to decide how to fix it.
Yeah. It's really, when we were there with the engineer, you kind of look at it like, what is the problem with this? I mean, it's rotted out in the bottom. I mean, you can see clear through it now, but structurally, I don't know what that means. You know, so there's a lot of open questions here, and for us, this is a cheap way to get answers to these. And it will take us a couple of steps beyond just evaluating. It'll get some of the preliminary planning done. And the big thing for us is everyone who bids on it has to provide us alternatives to the two that the state mentioned. Because we have different ways of doing this from precast on. So they'll give us a few options and prices for what each one would cost. The biggest one being, will we have to put in a temporary bridge, or is there a way to work around what we have? Because the temporary bridge is getting into a whole another huge problem for a small culvert. My Suburban covers the whole thing. It's kind of, very expensive.
Right.
Small bridge.
And do I remember right that you found this $30,000 grant that?
Yeah, this is our basic state structures grant. You can apply for them every year. They're $175,000 max, just like the paving grant or any Class 2 road grant. And it just seemed like a good way to apply for this one. Now, if we find we're going to go ahead with this, or we have a reasonable alternative, we'll apply next year for the $175,000. Structures grants are 10% contribution on the town's part, so we'd get most of the money to do anything from the state in the long run. And we'd like to keep it away from federal money if we could, because then we get into all kinds of other stuff. But we'll just have to see where it progresses. But I think it's going to come back that, there's lots of time here, which is my biggest concern. Nobody seems to have, is this in trouble? It seems to be a hot topic, and if it's not in trouble, then we can sit back and put some money aside to try and attack this thing.
Right. Good. Thank you. All right. Eric Road. We want to put 1,000 feet of fabric on Eric Road.
Yes.
Where along Eric is that?
It would be from Harwood residence down to in the dip by Daly's. It goes to mud every year. It would just be a continuation of fabric that's already
I know where the Daly's dip is. You're talking north of that or south of that?
south of it.
South of it, okay.
Because there's fabric on the other end of it, isn't there? Where it hits Myers Road. Okay. Or is it Myers? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good.
What was that? I couldn't, we have,
There is fabric on the other end of that. This won't,
Continuation of it.
is this, will they connect?
Yeah.
They will, okay, good.
okay. So we're just basically finishing the job there, yeah.
Yep,
Up the end and hook on to what's there and just go further with it. So it doesn't go every spring like that.
Okay,
Actually, all these are continuations
Yes.
from
Yes.
prior projects.
yep.
right, okay. We got $14,000 there. Murphy Hill from Schultz to Spur. Okay, I know where Spur is. Is that
Towards the Christmas tree farm.
coming back
This
toward
way.
town? Okay,
There's already fabric there from about a year and a half ago. Just
Okay.
needs to be extended.
all right. And that's 13,000 there. Shaftsbury Hollow.
That would be from the intersection to Schaefer's residence, first driveway on the right. That goes bad there every year.
Okay, yeah, I don't know where that is. I'll probably want to drive that out there with you and take a look at it. And this again is a continuation of where we laid fabric previously in recent memory. And so we're adding another 750 feet there. Okay, 9,000 there. All right, Murphy Hill, O'Brien towards Bouclon Four Corners, 1,600 feet there.
That's a big project. That actually is from the silo at the top of Murphy Hill.
Yep.
Keep headed west toward the intersection of the next four-way intersection. You have to break that up over a few years to do that one.
Yep.
That's like 48,000 total to do that one.
Split this into a 4-year
Yes.
segment,
Got it on there
because
for
it's just too
each
much to
year,
do
how
at
much you could
once.
do a year.
Yep. No, that's wise. It always goes all the hell on top there. Yep.
Okay, but what year is this? Or this is 1/4 of the project that really needs to get done?
Yes.
Well, it actually is a continuation because you've already come all the way up Murphy Hill. So this is just, this is going to hook onto it and go a little bit further.
Okay.
Yeah, when you crest the hill, you go right into
Yes.
the mud.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
But what you're suggesting is that we do 1,500 feet of it this year,
Yeah. Or
but we really need to do,
whatever year you choose to start with it.
but we've really got 6,000 feet that we need to do.
That's right. Mile.
So a fourth of it is $11,000. We really need to do $46,000 worth there. Okay. All right, Harvest Hill, reclaim and pave 780 feet, $30,000, $31,000.
This is, yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at Harvest Hill again today, and in terms of, in my mind, yeah, there's some potholes and broken up pavement there, but, you know, compared to what happens to some of these roads out toward the hollow in mud season, dodging potholes on Harvest Hill on a dead-end street is not a thoroughfare. It's doesn't rank as high to me, but I understand that we're getting the money out of a different pot here, so.
Yeah. The thing with this is after we do East Road, the paving reserve fund will have $27,700 left in it. Paving reserve fund has to be used to pave something. So there's not that there aren't other options here. The Harvest Hills had come up, and this is something that a number I'd gotten from a contractor. This is what it would cost to reclaim and everything. But we can look at other things to do with that. You can chip seal a great stretch of road. There's other things that we're compiling as I talk to Steve, and I'm going through all the highway records trying to see when it was. Most of our paved roads will get state money for. We're only talking about a little under 5 miles of roads that we're solely responsible for pavement. So, you know, we can balance this out. 780 feet for $30,000 is a lot of money, but you know, what part is what's most critical now, or what can we do with that 27,000 to prevent another larger section from going bad? You know, because 27,000 preventive, like chip sealing or shim coating or something, might buy you 10 years on a much larger segment of another road. So this is why we put this out. This is more like talking points, and let's evaluate the roads and see what we can do, because this is a fiscal year plan, so we have till next July to spend this money. And I think the paving reserve, it's there. We might as well start saving something.
The number you got down for East Road is like 110,000. Is there more to that than the paving that we just opened up a bid for that came in at 91?
That's it. So that
So
also
there's another
will
10,000. So we gained 10,000 there.
Well, if we have, well, 9,000. I'd have to deduct that off the rest of the reserve, which I don't have in front of me here. Do I? Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, we'd have another 10,000 we could bring in. So
Roughly speaking, okay.
yeah, roughly. So we're up to that paving reserve balance back here would be closer to
almost
36,
20,000.
37,000.
Do we have that discretion on that money, or is it money that was given to us?
Yeah, because what Art's talking about is our contribution. If the bid is, and I'll just say 90,000, we would have to put 18,000 in. So when I did the numbers here, I based it at 110,000. So our paving reserve coming out of our paving reserve would be 25,000. So if the bids are down by 90,000, we're saving $7,000 coming out of our paving reserves. So that would up the back end to 34,000. So we have more money to look at preserving our 5 miles of paved roads.
Okay.
And I'm finding that some of these were done fairly recently, a good number of them. So there's lots of options out here for the paving reserve, which goes from everything from expanded crack sealing to chip sealing, you know, all the different varieties of ways you can address road problems. So this being the one I just picked Harvest Hills to start the conversation because that had come up a number of times. Whether that's the best target for this amount of money, I don't know. We're still evaluating, and we're still going through records of the paved roads to see what we should do to preserve what we have. Parent Acres, I was mentioning to Steve earlier, was apparently paved in 2003. It was paved really thin, so you know it's a candidate for maybe a chip seal or a shim coat or something. But I need somebody who knows their business more to say what. We get some ideas on other projects we could go into. We could stretch this out for maybe half the roads we have.
Yeah, I think that's a good line of thought. Like I say, when I look at Harvest Hill, I see something that could be, you know, patch some holes and put another coat of something on top of it and make it last a few more years. It's not a heavily traveled area. Spending $30,000 on that 780 feet when we're, you know, making Murphy Hill wait 4 years to get their mile done just doesn't seem like good prioritization.
Yeah, and I had mentioned earlier, discussing with Tim, the idea of the paving reserve, because we should spend what we have in it this year, because there's a lot of delayed maintenance that we should catch up with as long as we have the money. But we should probably turn that more into what we have with the Class 3 road reserves, but make it more a road reserve fund, because we have Class 2 dirt roads, you know, almost 9 miles of those that we can get state funding for, and, you know, I hate being locked in. If you say paving reserve fund, people voted to put money in the paving reserve fund, they expect it to go to paving. But if you have it as a road fund, a Class 3 road fund, so that we can address issues as they come up, like Murphy Hill needing, and Murphy Hill does need it, but we can't take this money out of paving reserve and address Murphy Hill with it, because it's just not what the voters voted for. They voted for paving. So we might rename that next year.
I noticed Airport Road is not on here. Is that because?
That's coming up later on. We were turned down by the state. We got 2 out of 3. So,
Okay.
but Steve and I have talked about when we get time to try and pull in the edges, build up the crown with. There's a lot of material on the road, right, Steve? This is more your line of, you know.
Yeah.
But
Been a lot of material added over the years. We probably recover some of it
Yep.
to narrow it up, which
Yes.
should also slow the traffic down and
Yep.
steeper crown and help it out.
Yep.
Is there any chance of putting some drains along the edge of that road?
Yes.
And it will improve the drains that are there?
Yes.
This is, if you get the water so it's running away instead of sitting there.
Right.
It's gonna help the whole road.
Get rid of it.
and part of that too is why we originally thought of putting in the line to have $2,500 for engineering services for the road highway department, so that we could get advice when we need it.
So you did apply for that?
Well, no, we put that in the budget so that
Oh,
we would,
yes,
we would
okay.
have professional services. So if we had a puzzling issue, we could get some advice to
Yeah.
try and do it correctly.
Okay.
So that might be a good use of that over by airport. It would have been nice to get the money from the state, but it's not happening this year. But like Steve said, and he's right, there's a lot of material on that road. So it's just going this way instead of coming into a crown in the
Way
middle.
too wide.
So
Yep.
we'll get to that, hopefully.
Okay. All right, we've got Shaftsbury Hollow above Dwyer's Camp. Engineering budget, that's to have somebody look at that and tell us,
Yes, this came actually, have to thank our zoning administrator for bringing this to my attention, but the Vermont Better Back Roads Grants Program that she's familiar with from her other job, and we discussed this. We applied for a grant for $5,000. What they'll do is they'll provide $4,000 for $5,000 grant, which will cover engineering services, and we provide $1,000 and $1,050 actually of in-kind services, which really consists of Steve and I going up with their engineer. I process some paperwork. Steve tells them the entire history of the road, and they design things. We've seen them from other towns. They design nice solutions to your problems, because above Dwyer's Camp it is literally a dirt road, and I think we do need some help in what to do, so we're not just off doing different things. But I got a call from Better Back Roads last week. They got a large number of applications. They will fund ours. We're going to wind up going through the BCRC because there's federal funds available that can be processed through the BCRC, and we'll just get the money and we can get the engineer and find out what we should do. But there's really no cost to the town on that because it'll just be Steve and I. I'll be pushing paperwork and Steve will be canning the history.
Well, the answer is probably that we need to lay a road base out there, right? If it's
I don't know. There could just be drainage things, because this is a packed old dirt road that the way they used to be. It's just not seen now. It's drainage.
A lot of it is drainage, trees in the way. And,
Yeah.
Mr. Moffett, who has sat here several times and lives in Shaftsbury Hollow and is like an expert on Shaftsbury Hollow, informed me the other day that there are 36 houses and 6 camps when you drive from one end of Shaftsbury Hollow out the other way. I mean, he says we don't realize how much is up there, and that your point is well taken. That, you know, we think of Harvest Hills or something like that when there's 36 houses in Shaftsbury Hollow,
right,
and growing more all the time. So.
right. Yeah, and as Ken has pointed out, some parts of up there have never had a proper road base put in. So,
Yep.
and as I've said a couple of times, one of the things I think we need to be thinking about is how we budget and how we get to the point where we're replacing road base at a rate that will have us with good road base everywhere instead of just patching holes and trying to get from year to year. And so the total there, do we have the money to do all of those?
No. But we come up on when we do the fabric projects, we'll come up $16,515 short on the Class 3 road fund. I think there's 2 ways we're looking at this. A, we don't have the time to do all 4 this fall. So Steve and I had been discussing, and it was really do 2 this fall, one of which will probably be Eric Road, and we'll pick one of the other ones, and then 2 in the spring. Now in the spring, we couldn't get to these till May or June. Now in May or June, we will know whether or not there's enough flex in the rest of the budget so that we could take on the 2 projects. If we have a horrendous winter and 3 mud seasons, we probably won't have the money to take on this kind of deficit here. But it's there, and I think in the long run, following the highway budget and what the town's approved for different items, we could get to this point and cover that. The paving reserve deficit, if we did Harvest Hills, we would be $3,600 over budget. And I figured that would just be changed with bids, or if we just look at it differently, East Roads come in lower than we thought, so that's wiped out already. But
yeah, and if we look at, like you say, some other interim step there on Harvest Hill, like filling potholes and doing one of these cheaper coats over it, it won't cost $30,000.
No. So that part of the deficit is gone. But the interesting thing is that we're not doing that much on even these 4 fabric projects. I figure really the Class 3 road fund for capital improvement projects, we're going to have to talk about really pushing that up next year, so that, I mean, our road crew won't be able to do all these projects, but to get around, you know, this amount of work this year is about 4% of the gravel roads in town. So we really need to keep that up there and get it even higher, so that over a long-term cycle of spending maybe close to double that amount of capital projects a year, he'd get around to all the roads in 25, 30 years to really keep them up to date. And that's why you also don't look at these roads like pick the worst road and go, oh, we have to do this right away. Because if you wait 2 more years on this road, it'll be totally shot and you can do it. But meanwhile, the road that could have been saved has now gone beyond repair. There's a lot of calls in it, but you know, $30,000 sounds like a lot, but these 4 little projects are 16,000 over the budget. I think we'll pull that out by the end of the year, but it just shows that it's really not that much money.
Well, the total on the fabric projects is 46,000.
515. And the Class 3 road fund was approved for $30,000.
Class 3 road fund is 30,000. As we said before, the rule of thumb, a rule of thumb would say we should be doing about 2 miles of fabric a year if we're going to replace all 50 miles in 25 years. That's around $160,000. It's about $80,000 a mile to do this. So even if we do all of them, and I really think we should find the money to do all of them because they're continuations of projects that we had before, and we're only doing a fourth of one that we know we need to do more on. We're still not where we ought to be in terms of replacing roads so that we survive mud season passable.
Dave, it'd be interesting to kind of just roughly estimate how much we paid in overtime and for stone in the springtime. It's always on a weekend, right?
Yeah.
You guys are called out,
Yeah.
and it's stone, it's expensive,
Yeah.
and it's all overtime. So it'd just be kind of curious. I bet
Yeah.
you.
You have to do it every year.
It is.
Huh?
Every year it happens.
Yeah, I know.
Somebody spots right in the same spot.
So the point is that it would be saving some money. And
Exactly. We're doing all of these heroic efforts in mud season to try and get the roads passable. Whereas if we were investing in fabric at the right rate, we wouldn't have these emergencies in mud season.
Yeah, I mean, this year, this amount is 2%. I misspoke, it's 2%. We should be looking for 4%. And that's 60,000 a year, and that's just the gravel roads. The pavement part between East Road and if we did the 780 feet over here would have been 4% of the Class 2 paved and 3% of the town roads.
Yep.
So, you know, these are small numbers we're talking about here. And although honestly, I think most of the gravel roads aren't in critical condition, but we still think we need about double the rate to bring those that are up to speed.
Yep.
Like we said, it is a shame that a stretch we all know, Murphy Hill, there's just no way to do that this year. It's impossible. We don't have that kind of money. But it definitely needs to be done. We all know that. I've sunk in, and it's not good up there. But just some idea, you know, all this, it's 2% of the gravel roads is all we're doing in this $46,000, and that's, you know, not much.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, that's out there for discussion. We'll discuss some more about it. But like I say, I think we need to do this at a minimum, even if it means going over budget by $16,000. It's the minimum that we need to do, and as we keep saying, we need to be figuring out a way to do more.
Yeah.
No, I think everybody, I mean, for the paving reserve fund, we'll have continuing discussion on what we should do with that. Move from Harvest Hills to, I'm still doing research on what was paved, what was chip sealed and everything else. I'm trying to clean out the files and been talking with Steve and just trying to coordinate. So we'll have a better idea in a couple of weeks where things are, when the last thing was done, and we can look at, like I said, just picking Parent Acres because I just happen to have read that. I mean, that should be up for some big maintenance because it's a very thin road. And doing the right thing now could preserve it and save a lot of money for another 10, 15 years.
Good. Anything else, Steve? Dave?
No, I think that's it for that for now.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
We were working our way through the town administrator's report.
I have a request from the cemetery committee from Ken Coonrad, Mr. McQuaid, former resident of the town. The family is seeking to have a single plot sold to them. He was a long-term resident of the town. He had served on the Historical Society for many years, and they had moved away to Kansas, and they're coming back here, and they would like permission from the board to buy a single burial plot. Apparently the board has to sanction that because they don't actually live in town now.
What was the name?
Phil McQuaid.
Phil McQuaid? I'm not familiar with him.
He lived on Timber Trail Road for 25 years.
Okay.
And they are going to return to town, and they would like permission from the town to buy this.
So if they aren't a resident at the time of their death, then they have.
It's apparently, if they're not a resident here, they have to have permission from the board.
No idea.
Do they have an immediate need for a burial plot?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And they're planning to move back?
Yes, either them or their daughter. Their daughter's handling their affair, and he would very much like to be interred here.
Okay.
I see no reason to deny it, so I would make a motion we give approval to sell them.
Okay. We have a motion from Art to approve sale of a burial plot to, give me the name again?
Philip the McQuaid family.
The McQuaid family.
Second.
Seconded by Tony. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion to approve the sale of the burial plot is approved 4-0-0.
The next thing we have is the truck, which has been going on forever. But I finally got the information from Viking Sives, and they sent me a letter that they will provide the same warranty to the truck, to the dump body, plowing and everything, from the date it goes in service, which they acknowledge is not in service. They finally sent me a list of the things that they did, which matches the list that Steve and David had left up there to be addressed. So at this point, because they are honoring their warranty from the date it goes into service, I'm inclined to release the funds to pay for the equipment that we have and move on.
We've already paid for the truck. Now this pays for the.
This will pay for the body and the plow and everything. The insurance is still a battle. It's still being argued amongst the parties. Viking subcontractor, Viking is standing to the side. Everybody on our end has all the information. TDI apparently might try and claim that the repairs were far more expensive. I provided our adjusters and our insurance company with our emails, my emails to Viking and to TDI, telling them they are not to touch my cabin chassis, not to work on the truck. It's mine. Our people haven't even been there, and yet they went ahead and did work on it anyway. So I don't anticipate paying them anything because they never had authority to work on it. They went ahead and did this on their own. And Viking agreed that they lost the horn, so they're going to buy a new horn for us. So. Viking, they lost our horn. Who knows?
Oh, okay.
But they admitted in writing they lost the horn, so they're going to pay for it. But
Okay. Well, the last time I was down there, there was some talk about some radiators or coolers. Some radiators up front of the radiator, and there were some nicks in them. They weren't leaking, but the adjuster said.
the adjuster had put that in,
Yep.
and that's all part of
Yep.
whatever the directions I got from our insurance carrier was, whatever the adjuster said, have fixed, and they'll
Okay,
fight it
that's-
from there. So I told the Deloriers to go ahead and fix everything that the gentleman from Frontier, the adjusting company, said. Fix it all, send the truck to that place in Clifton Park, try and have the paint buffed out and brought up.
They aren't going to repaint it. They're just going to buff it. Is
Just
that?
gonna try and buff it up.
Okay.
It's as long as, in their professional opinion, that it's intact and it's not gonna just start flaking off.
Yeah, okay,
Then buff it up and we need to drop this.
absolutely.
And just on as a side too, the warranty on the cab and chassis
Hasn't even started yet.
doesn't start until it's in service.
Yeah,
So
sure.
all this will pretty much be like it never happened,
Yeah.
as far as we're concerned, past this date.
So you need a motion to release the funds to pay Viking?
They've already been approved, but I've just never signed it.
Okay.
I'm just wanting to talk to the board. I intend to sign the release tomorrow unless the board objects, but we've had it now. It's been inspected by our people. They've agreed that they'll warranty it from a year from when it goes into service, so.
Okay.
The bank in Indiana is just waiting for me to send them the paperwork and we'll pay them.
We have the truck now?
Well, yeah, the truck's been over, well, we don't have it here, but the truck's been in Dolores for like 3 weeks now.
Right.
And it's been looked at by everybody. We want to look at it. The insurers just said, fix it, forget it, just fix it, we'll take care of it. And,
So will this get us possession of the truck if we,
oh, we have it. Well, we can do
Oh, we
whatever
can have it whenever
I
we
just
want
haven't paid them because they wouldn't
okay.
give me warranty information. They wouldn't tell me what parts they put on.
We'll probably have it in a week or so because they gotta go down and be buffed.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah,
So
and I
within-
talked to David the week before last and said we're ready to go, just do whatever he said,
Probably within 2 weeks we'll have it, easily.
and we'll get it back, and we really need it back. Saves money. On gravel, it's saving us money. We need to get it back.
Given the fiasco that this has been, it's probably a good idea that we have a motion on this so that 5 years from now, when we've all been voted out of office, somebody doesn't track Dave down about a truck that's not working anymore and want to blame him
I'm
for it.
sure we're going to hear about this truck for at least 10 years.
I make that motion.
Art makes a motion to allow Dave to release the funds to pay for the dump body on the truck.
Second.
New tandem truck.
Second by.
Seconded by Ken. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
A motion to release the funds to pay for the dump body on the truck is approved, 400.
How long is it?
And that's all I have for the night.
All right.
We'll be pushing.
Oh,
through
except
this.
I will be away for 2 weeks. I will not be at the next meeting.
There's an announcement we could have had
Yeah,
up
we
front.
could have
Just
had that
Dave's going on vacation for a couple weeks. Are you going somewhere, or are you just going to hide out at home?
Down to Florida.
Oh, good.
I want it hotter, yeah. That's I'm going to Florida for 2 weeks.
Yeah, this is not hot.
Yeah, it's not hot.
Dave, did you ever get it scheduled to finish that ditches on Twitchell Hill that I asked you about the other day?
No, we haven't got that scheduled yet. When we're going from here, we have a few things going on in the road department right now. It's summer. We have a guy on vacation, including Steve, every day for the next month.
Yeah.
And we have these 2 projects we're finishing. Because of the rain, we fell behind the grading, so I pretty much asked Steve to have a grading plan
Yeah.
for the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then we're going to pick up projects after that again.
Because I had one of the people up there ask me the other day about it, again, after I'd mentioned it to you.
Yeah, and Steve actually mentioned it to me too, and I'm like, okay, but the grading is behind, and we have to get these roads graded.
Yeah.
Because when we get into the window, when we get back from mid-August to September, is when we have to knock off 2 of these projects, things like that, because when
Yeah.
we hit October, as you know, we have to get
But
the
as
roads
long as
ready
it
for
gets done
winter.
full winter,
We're out of
that's all I
time,
care
so,
anyway.
yeah. But I know Twitchell Hill is on there too, and I don't
Yeah.
see any
All right.
big reason why we can't knock that off
Yeah.
too.
Well, it shouldn't take more than a day to do both of them.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a big deal. Yeah.
All right. Any other business?
Steve didn't say anything about it, but he mentioned it to me. There is a culvert, illegal culvert, or a culvert that hasn't been approved by a permit off the White Creek Road on the old, I call it the Fuller, Carl and Vera Fuller house.
A new culvert?
Yes.
They were having,
It was, I think the man had a reunion or a party, and he just laid a small PVC pipe down, dumped a load of gravel, and without a permit. It isn't big enough to handle any amount of water, and so, I don't know, is that Shelley's job or
yeah,
is that Steve's
Steve
job?
mentioned that to me today, and that is Shelley's. And what we'll do is we'll get the exact address, and then we'll just say remove it. I'm sure he will.
Yep, okay.
All right. That takes us to a review of action items, and that last one was the only one I caught, was for Shelley to look at that culvert. Dave, you're going to, as a matter of course, circulate the bid proposals we just got and send those to us. Anybody remember anything else we were supposed to take action on? I don't remember anything. Okay. All right. Then at this time, I move that we go into executive session to discuss personnel issues.
Second.
Seconded by Art. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. So at 7:33, we are going into executive session.